Well, let me tell you, I mean, look, when it comes to women's rights, I'm absolutely a relentless campaigner for women's rights and equality. When I was an editor of a daily newspaper, I promoted and hired way more women than the Mirror had in its history in my 10-year period. So I completely believe in that. And, you know, I was brought up around very strong women. My mother, my grandmother, my sister, my wife's a very strong woman. You know that.
Yeah.
Would any of them march?
Sorry?
Would any of those people in your women
Funny
in your
enough,
family march?
no, funnily enough. None of them, because none of them could actually see the focal point of what the march was supposed to be about. And I think that was my problem with it. You know, for instance, the Donald Trump immigration row at the moment, for example, I understand why protesters are going out now and trying to stop this. It's a very specific thing about a very specific policy. I think marches and protests, they need to be very focused. And when I see the likes of Madonna, I'm sorry, but she's not a feminist.
But if you take Madonna out of it, is it not about... Is it not about the leader of the free world giving a message out that to treat women in a way that is derogatory? And I've found, you know, to me, he admitted to sexual harassment. Is it not about that? We have to be the beacons of how to do it, because there's so many women suffering all around the world and being told that it's OK.
Yeah, but let's just remind ourselves that Bill Clinton, when he was president, had sexual relations with... Well, wait, let me finish.
Yeah, okay.
With a young intern in the Oval Office. And I don't remember any marches and protests... But I don't remember any marches and protests about that.
Well, then that was wrong. That was wrong, then. And it's right that there was a march about this. Yeah, but
the reason they're going after Trump is he's a Republican, and I'm afraid it's a political thing.
Yeah.
And when you make it political, I think people like me are entitled as columnists to actually judge it as we would any other political march.
You've been quite outspoken against him as well, against some of the things he's done just recently.
Yesterday,
so at what point does your friendship with him and your support for him become untenable?
Well,
at what point do you start to cringe and think, oh... because
he's the most embarrassing friend in the
on
world.
your
I've got far more embarrassing friends than Donald Trump. So I made it clear in the campaign I wouldn't personally vote for him. His politics are too different to mine. But I could see how he was going to win and why he was going to win, and he has won, and he's now President of the United States of America. So we can all keep having this massive hissy fit about Donald Trump, or we can be more pragmatic. He loves Britain. I think it's hugely important we have a good relationship with America, particularly coming out of Europe, in terms of our trade deals, and to just constantly call him this disgusting monster and want nothing to do with you and ban him from the country, I think is ridiculous.
But I think that it's ridiculous to be friends with someone who doesn't agree with letting people have a decision on abortion and is now closing borders to...
Well, of course you do, because you want everyone to agree with you.
No, I just don't want to be friends with someone who has those kind of views.
That's fine, I've got plenty of friends...
No, I know, but I'm just saying, isn't it weird...
Let me clarify that. Am I to assume everybody in this room only has friends that they completely agree with? Because I would find that so weird. You know, I, for example, I don't agree with Trump about guns. I don't agree with him about climate change. I don't agree with him about abortion. A number of important issues.
What do you connect with him on, then? I'm fascinated.
I've got friends and family members who I totally disagree with about politics. It doesn't mean I can't be friendly with them or like them. If they've been loyal to me in other ways.
To make those changes happen.
I'm sorry, everyone can keep screaming at me not to like Donald Trump. No. It's not going to work.
Piers,
he's a friend of mine.
What about what he said on that bus? What would you say to your daughter if your daughter said, Daddy, is that OK? Is that true? Is that true what Trump said? It's all right to,
I think it was, A, completely unacceptable. But secondly, anybody I know who was caught on a hot mic when they didn't think they were being recorded in a conversation with a friend over a sustained period of time would all go down in flames. So let's not get too
maybe not quite as in a derogatory way as it was for him.
Not. This idea that everybody out there is an angel and would survive the kind of scrutiny these guys get, I don't think they would.
Slightly, having spent a bit of time in America, and I saw an interview with you back home, and you said this guy is going to become the next president, and I agreed with you, not because I think he should be, but having spent time over there, I was shocked by the hatred for Hillary, and actual sort of hatred for him, but it was almost like he was the best of a bad bunch, and that was the general consensus amongst normal people in America, whether you agree or disagree.
Right, and there has to be perspective. You know, Hillary Clinton, you know, she voted for the Iraq War, which I vehemently opposed as editor of the Daily Mirror, for example. We campaigned against it. She voted for the Iraq War, which you could argue was the catalyst for ISIS, for the spread through the Middle East of warfare, for Syria, for all these things. And yet she's put up there as this kind of heroine figure, and Trump is the monster. What is Trump actually doing at the moment with this immigration ban? He's singled out 7 countries which are undeniably war-torn. And he said, we've got to be very careful who we let into America from these countries. The principle of what he's doing is understandable. The way he's gone about it, in my view, is unacceptable. But let's not just say every time he speaks he's a monster, because it's not true.
And I liked your line, make America hate.
Exactly.
Well, you've got to be inclusive and bring people
Piers,
together. As I have on this show with these lovely...
They've been lovely with your heels.
I know, as per usual, we could talk for about another hour. Piers. Maybe you should just go and get a job with our president.
We haven't even asked me about my heels, which I think is quite sexist of you.
We get some pretty fabulous guests here on Loose Women. There's plenty more where that came from. Just click here to watch more interviews with a whole range of famous faces. And click here to subscribe. It's free, so you'd be silly not to, really.